everyone, it's Miss Ellmann. I'm here for your Wacky Word Work Wednesday. I'll be working with you every Wednesday on a different word sort and word pattern. This week we're going to be starting with suffixes. We've done some suffixes in school and we're going to be reviewing some of the ones we've done before and also introducing some new ones. So as a reminder, suffixes and prefixes are things that go with a base word and change the meaning of the word or the use of that word. So a prefix always goes before a base word, and a suffix always comes at the end. So if we look here at our two words that we have unhappily, and the other word is recipe. So for the first word, unhappily, we can determine that happy, although the spelling has changed with the suffix, happy is the base word. Now we know that un is a prefix that changes the meaning to mean something reverse or opposite. So the prefix here is un, and the suffix illy, you might remember we did this a few weeks ago, also changes the meaning or the use of the word. So something is someone is doing something unhappily. It's very different than just saying someone's happy. It actually describes how they do something and also describes that they're doing it the opposite of being happy. Now I want to look down here at this word recipe. Recipe is a tricky one, and it's important that we remember this as well. We know that RE is a prefix. However, in this example, think for a second, is RE a prefix in the word recipe? No, that's because sippy is not a base word. To be a prefix or a suffix, the base word has to have meaning on its own. Think about something like replay or review. To view something means to do something on its own. That's a full word. Sippy is not a full word. So here we see the prefix pattern re, but it's not actually a prefix. It's just the spelling pattern. So be careful when you're reading that you don't assume something's a prefix or a suffix. You need to make sure that it's got a base word that you can clearly identify first. All right, so to start today, we'll go ahead through and I'm going to show you guys all the different words that are part of our word sort today. I'm going to pause when I first show you the words so that you can have a chance to read it at home. So, our first word today. This word is studious. Studious is a word you may or may not know. The base word here is study. So someone that is studious is someone who studies a lot, who spends a lot of time on their books or their learning. Studious. And I'll go ahead and move this a little bit closer so you can see those words. Rebellious. The base word here is rebel. Some of you may be described as that by your friends or family. If someone is rebellious, they act in a way that goes against what people expect or people ask. Rebellious. Stressful. Guys, make sure at home you're reading each word when I show it to you. Famous. Successful. Courageous. Now this base word here is courage. To be courageous or to act courageously means to act with courage or to have courage. Poisonous. Scandalous. Now scandalous is a tricky word. You see the base word there is actually scandal. So a scandal is something that shocks people. It surprises them, often has to do with celebrities or gossip, that kind of thing. So if something is scandalous, it is shocking, it's surprising. Dangerous. Shameful. We've got two more. Beautiful. Furious. So these are the 12 words we have for our word sort this week. Again, I haven't sorted these. I've just put them all up. So what I want you to do is I'm going to set a timer on my phone for about 20 seconds. I'm going to let you go ahead and look through and see if you can determine there are 3 main categories of 3 different suffixes, endings, that we have here. So I want you to have a second and look. I'll set a timer for about 20 seconds. So go ahead and focus just on the words. Think about if you notice any patterns in the endings of the words. How could we sort them based on their endings? All right, so hopefully you were able to come up with a few different sorts. One that I'll start with that you guys should be familiar with, because we've actually done this one once already, is the ending full, F-U-L. This is going to be kind of the starting point of our sorts today because F-U-L means to literally be full of something. So if we put this here as our first one, we know the word beautiful means that something is full of beauty. It has a lot of beauty. So all of these words, what their endings do to them today is they explain something that is full of whatever the base word is. Another one that we have up there that you probably identified is the ending O-U-S. Now again, if you look right here for dangerous, if something is dangerous, we know it's full of danger. You should not do it, right? So dangerous means the exact same thing as if the word was dangerful. We just don't say that. So you can think of these endings as meaning the same thing. So the last ending we have is I-O-U-S. Now this one is literally the exact same meaning, but the spelling pattern is different. And it's important that we remember and that we notice which words fall under that spelling pattern in particular. So I'm going to go ahead and sort these quickly as we go through, see if there's any that you can kind of do before me or quicker than me. So 2 things I notice. First, there's a word that I've kept back, courageous, that we'll go over in a second because I don't really see a great spot for it there. But one thing I want to point out is something that we notice with a lot of our different word patterns. Study is the base word here. Fury is the base word here. Those 2 words both end in a Y. So just like when we're changing things to plural, just like when we're changing things to comparatives like funniest, happiest, we actually change that Y here to an I. So I want you to be sure when you're doing this, any of these words that you're using that end with a Y, you're generally going to change that Y to an I, and it will follow the I-O-U-S pattern. So the reason I pulled courageous out is I noticed something else about a word up here that also ended with an E. I'm looking at famous. Now famous comes from the base word fame, F-A-M-E. However, I notice here that the E has actually been dropped off and they've just added the ending. For courageous, they didn't drop the E. They kept the E and added O-U-S. So this one actually is what we would call an oddball. This one doesn't fit any of the patterns. That's because they do not drop the E. Another word that we have where we don't drop the E, where we do drop the E, and it would fall under the O-U-S pattern, is the word nervous. Let me write that out. So if you have nerves, right, you're feeling anxious, to be full of nerves, we would drop the E and add O-U-S, nervous. The reason we pulled courageous out is because, like I said, courageous, they don't drop the E, and that's what makes it an oddball. So here are the different words we have for the week. There's about 12 of them. As you guys are done with this lesson, you're going to be able to go on to Google Classroom, and you'll have your sort there. that you can have these words and some other ones. It's also going to ask you at the bottom to think about some words that go into these patterns that are not on the list. So I want you to look at the list for a second. Think about any other words you know. I told you nervous. That's one. What are some other words you know that could fit these patterns? One that I think of is the word that we use a lot in school. Respectful. We know that someone that is respectful acts in a way that is full of respect. Another one that I think you may have been hearing recently is this word. I want you to really try to sound this out before I go ahead and tell you what it is. This is a big one in the news right now. So this word is infectious. So if something is infectious, it's full of infection, right? And it's easy to infect someone. So they're using this word a lot to talk about coronavirus. Coronavirus is very infectious. It's a very easy thing to spread, which is why we're having to stay home. So this word, infectious, follows this pattern as well. So the great thing about suffixes and prefixes is that it lets us break up words that we might initially think like, oh, I can't read that word. I don't know what that is. And it lets us break them up into words that we can easily read and identify. So let me show you this sentence. This is my whiteboard from when I was a kid. The spoiled child became an ungrateful adult. So this word here has a prefix, un. The base word is great. And then full is the suffix. Now we know if it said the spoiled child became a grateful adult, we would know that would be full of gratitude, full of thankfulness. But the suffix or the prefix un reverses that. So we're not surprised when we hear the spoiled child became an ungrateful adult. That means the opposite of grateful. Someone that does not act in a way that is full of gratitude or thanks. So when you come across bigger words like this, I really want you to see if you cannot break them down into prefixes and suffixes so that you can better understand. Not only does it help you actually chunk and decode the word so that you can pronounce it and know how to say it, but it also allows you to actually understand the meaning of it if you can remember these suffixes. So after this, go ahead onto your Google Classroom. You'll have the work up there. Please, in your sentences for this week, try to be creative. Try to use sentences that are going to be more than just a few words. Try to think about how these different words could be used in a way that could be really exciting and fun. If you've come up with other words that are not on our list and want to do sentences with those, that's great. Can't wait to see your work, and thanks for tuning in. See you guys next week. Bye.